of us have heard, hopefully, there is a new distracted driving law that goes into effect June 30th here in Michigan. The law is going to affect the way many of us may be driving, and hopefully it'll save a lot of lives. Tom Sinas from Sinas James Law Firm joins us this morning to break it down. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Todd, how are you?
I'm well. Can you first break down the old law in Michigan? What needed changing?
Oh, a lot. It was not only old, but out of step, I think, with reality and the way that people use their devices. So the old law really, it only addressed text messaging. Of course, our phones do a lot more than text messaging. And it said that you could not read, type, or send a text when your vehicle was moving. And that's really all it said. So that meant it didn't speak to the use of social media, didn't speak to what you could or couldn't do when your vehicle was at a stop sign or a stoplight. And there had been a lot of discussion over the years and a lot of attempts to revise this law to get it more current with the type of technology that all of us have in our pocket and many of us take in our cars.
That makes a lot of sense. Don't text and drive. We've heard that for years now. But as you mentioned, they do so much more than texting. So what's the biggest change with the new law?
So the biggest change here in the new law is that we have a general prohibition on the use of, as the statute says, mobile electronic devices while operating a motor vehicle. The statute begins by saying you cannot use a mobile electronic device while you're operating a motor vehicle. And then it goes on to define what using it means. And here we get a broader definition than just text messaging. We get a list that includes sending or receiving phone calls, sending or receiving text messages, viewing, recording, or transmitting a video, and accessing, reading, or posting to a social networking site. All of those things now are in the definition of using a mobile device, and this statute prohibits the use of a mobile device. There are some exceptions, but you can see here now we have taken the prohibition and applied it to the types of ways that people are commonly and unfortunately interacting with their cell phones and other devices while they're driving.
It sounds like just holding an electronic device could get you into maybe a little bit of hot water. Can you actually have it in your hands, or is it, I guess I'm curious how they're going to determine what the phone was being used for at the time of the stop.
Right. Well, there are exceptions to that prohibition on holding or using a cell phone. And one of them is the idea that you can use these devices in what the statute calls a hands-free mode, provided that you're only using a single button press to swipe or activate a feature on the phone or to access a telephone number or name. That's maybe the biggest exception. There are others, like, for example, if the electronic device is integrated within the vehicle, it can be used that way. And that's really kind of just another iteration of this idea that hands-free use or hands-free with one touch is still permitted. The other exception here is that phones can be mounted inside the vehicle. Of course, we see people have their various types of cell phone mounts in their car. So you can have your cell phone in the car. You can't have it in your hand, but you can have it on a mount. And that also correlates with this other exception about hands-free use. And so, I think some people are asking the question, well, wait a minute, how much of the use of your cell phone can you still actually do as long as you're doing it in kind of this hands-free or limited touch mode? And that's really a question that we're going to have to see tested out over time. There are exceptions to the general rule. You raise a question, which is how is one going to prove one or the other? But I think it's probably fair to say that this is a huge step forward, but that the exceptions themselves sort of raise questions about how much continued use are we still going to see of this type of cell phone activity within cars, even with the new law.
Well, anything that we can do to make the roads safer, I think we can all agree, is a good thing. So as this law continues to evolve and change, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of information out there people are going to want. Where can they go? I mean, do you have any of this on your website?
We will. Yeah, there'll be information on our website. There's excellent information all across the internet about this. People should familiarize themselves with this concept because it's going to affect all of us come June 30th. Should be known that there are some increased penalties here for those people that violate the law. And those penalties can not only be a monetary penalty, but they can be community service. The penalties can be increased if there's been a number of these violations within a short period of time, and the penalties can be increased if the person who's using the device is at fault. So there's a lot to familiarize yourself with. Our website, www.sinusdramus.com, will have some helpful information. People can always find us there. They can contact us the old-fashioned way at 616-301-3333, or shoot us an email at info@sinusdramus.com.